Hello and welcome to a Talmud Israeli production. Today we'll review the highlights of this week's course of Daf Yomi study, Masechet Nazir, pages 6 through 12, Vav through Yud Bet. 6. Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah, Ha'arini Nazir mea yom. If a person says, "Behold, I am a Nazir for 100 days," Nitma yom mea soter et hakol. If he becomes impure through contact with a corpse, even on the 100th day, the last day of his term, it undermines the entire term and has to start from scratch. Rabbi Eliezer Omer eno soter elamed yom. So Eliezer says, no, he doesn't have to start from scratch. Having been rendered impure on the last day, has only undermined the shortest possible term, which is 30 days. And so he'll do another 30 days, and then he'll be finished. Daf Zayin, page 7. Harini Nazir of Yom Echad. A person says, "Behold, I'm a Nazir, and an additional day." Harini Nazir v'sha'achat. I'm a Nazir, and 1 hour. Well, what does that mean? How long does he have to be a Nazir? What is the one term? We know which 30 days is the standard term, shortest term. Does he do one term and 1 hour, or one term and 1 day, 31 days, or 30 days and 1 hour? We'll see not. Hari Nazir mechetza, behold, I'm a Nazir for a term and a half. Does that mean 45 days? No. Harezen Nazir Shtaim. He has to do 2 terms. Separate terms, totaling 60 days, but 2 separate terms, 30 and 30. Daf Chet, 8. Harini Nazir, Mikaran Makam Ploni. Person says, "Behold, I am a Nazir from now until when I reach a certain place." He's traveling along the road, and I want to get from here to there, from point A to point B. However long it takes to get from point A to point B, that is the term of the Nazirut. Omdin Kamayamim Mikana Makam Ploni. So we'll have to measure how long that distance is. And he doesn't actually have to get there, he just has to do the Nazirut for that period of time. In Pachad Mishloshim Yom, but what happens if that length of time, based upon that distance, is actually less than 30 days? Then Nazir Shloshim Yom, he still has to do the shortest official term, which is 30. Im Lav, however, if it's more than 30 days, then Nazir Kivin Yamim. He has to be a Nazir for whatever length of time that is. However long it takes to get from point A to point B, even without actually traveling from point A to point B, whatever the time would have been, let's say it's 31 days, 35 days, 40 days, whatever it might be is calculated, that is his official term. Harini Nazir Kivin Modachama. If a person says, "I'm going to do the number of terms of Nazirut, separate terms of Nazirut, corresponding to the number of days of the year." Now, how many days of the year are there? There are 365 days in the solar year. So he has to do that many months of Nazirut, 30-day terms of Nazirut, which is a very, very long time. That's 30 years worth of Nazirut. Rabbi, so the Mishnah concludes and says, "Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Maaseh Shahaya, Kiven Shehesh Lemeis." There was a person who actually made such a neder and fulfilled the neder by having so many month-long terms of Nazirut for decades on end. And when he finally finished, he died. Okay. Daf Tet. Hareni Nazir, min ha'grogrot min ha'devela. A person says, "I'm going to be a Nazir from the dried figs and from the cake of pressed figs." What's the status? Beit Shammai Omrim Nazir. Beit Shammai says he is a Nazir. Beit Hillel Omrim Eno Nazir. Beit Hillel says no, he's not a Nazir because he didn't speak about items that are prohibited to a Nazir. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. So Yehuda explains, Af Kish Amar Beit Shammai, when Beit Shammai says such a person is in fact a Nazir, having made a comment about Grogrot and Devela, Lo Amru Ela Ba'omer Hari Alai Korban. It's only true if he said about the Grogrot and Devela that they are forbidden to him like a Korban. Then Zirut will kick in. Otherwise, not. Daf Yud. The Mishnah says, Amar, if a person says, Amra Parazu Hari Nazira Imamadani. The cow said, "I'm a Nazir if I stand up." Or, Omer Hadelet, the door said, "Hareini Nazir Nazira im niftach ani." I'm a Nazira if I am opened. So what happens then? These are pretty bizarre statements. Beit Shammai Omrim Nazir. Beit Shammai says this does have the ability to make the noder, the vower, into a Nazir. Beit Hillel Omrim Eno Nazir. Beit Hillel says, no, that doesn't have any effect. He's not a Nazir. To which the Gemara says, "Para mi kamishtaya." Does a cow talk? A cow is an animal, not a human being. A cow is not talking. So how does this comment by the Nazir, by the vower, make any sense whatsoever? The Gemara has to go on to offer ingenious interpretations that take us in a more rational direction. Daf Yud Aleph. Mazgulo takos. They poured a guy a cup of wine. The Amran, he said, Hareini Nazir mimenu. Behold, I am a Nazir from it. Mimenu, from it. Not generally speaking a Nazir, but from it. Harez a Nazir. So, the Mishnah says, in fact, this guy is a Nazir. Despite having made a comment with regard to a specific cup of wine, we apply it more broadly. Masa be'isha achat. There was an incident involving a certain woman. Shikora, she was drunk. Umazgla sakos, and they poured her another glass of wine. The Amra Nazir mimenu, and she says, no, I'm a Nazira from that cup of wine. Amru chachamim, l'niskav nazula lomar harihu like korban. Well, the sages said she does not become a Nazira because she didn't intend to. All she intended to do was to avoid that last cup of wine while she's already inebriated. So what she was saying was, that cup of wine is a korban on me. It's a forbidden item to me. But not that she wanted to take on the broader package of Nazirut. Not at all. So we're interpreting her words based upon what we think she intended, and that's how the law will play itself out. Yud bet. Homer l'shlucho, person says to his emissary, to his agent, go and betroth the woman to me. But he doesn't specify who. Could be anybody, any woman. He cannot marry any woman in the world right now. Why? Because chazaka shliach ose shlichuso. We have to take for granted a halachic presumption that the emissary, the agent, did what he was told to do. He carried out his instructions, and he betrothed the woman to this man, to the Mishalech. And Kevin Lopirishle, Haloyada Henil Kidishle. But since it was never clarified who this woman is, it could be anyone. So if the man who sent the emissary were to himself now try to marry another woman, that woman might be the immediate relative, a nuclear family relative, of a woman he was already married to, and it would be forbidden by Torah law. So since he doesn't know whether any given woman is the sister of someone he's already married to, he can't be Mekadesh any woman at that point until he clarifies who the agent betrothed him to. Everyone have a great week.